Hello friends, it looks like we have a little bit of an issue. There we go. Don't know why the video was not on then, but it looks like it is now. So if you are watching, hello, thanks for joining me. So you find us back at Dublin where we left off last night. Same stand 121. I've just done the flight planning and the dispatch, and we are off to Amsterdam, hopefully for some VATSIM coverage on arrival, but if not, it will give us a great opportunity to look at how we would arrive with lots of runways, lots of options, and not the clearest of arrival procedures. So, like I said, stand 121, there's a couple of other company traffic parked about. Dublin Tower's on, so let's get in and get the aeroplane going, lickety-split, and get on our way, I'm definitely on the wrong window, on our way to Amsterdam. Here we are, cold and dark, as always, and you'll notice this is slightly different. We're in Golf Gigabyte, Romeo Uniform Kilo Alpha, for an aeroplane livery repaint from vRYR, which I thought I'd have a go at, and it's an older one. You can see this looks a little bit different. People were moaning that it's broken. It was just older and it doesn't have the LED lights and a few other things, so we'll see what the config's like. It should be relatively authentic, but the startup is very, very similar. In fact, it's identical. So onto the upper overhead, we can get the battery on, get the emergency exit lights on. We have the position on steady, and we'll apply AC power via the ground power available. Let's get the IRSs aligning, first order of business, because they take 8 or 9 minutes depending on latitude. They may take a bit less by the equator. I think it varies from like 5 to 9 minutes, which would kind of make sense. Of course you can work it out by working out the angular velocity. Just needs a bit of distance to work out where it's been and where it's going. We'll leave all the pumps off, all the lights are off. AC power's available, cabin neutral LIFFY's on. Belts and chimes are off, start switches, igniters to the right, start switches are auto, should be, well, auto off, diff pressure 0, and we can't see the cabin altitude because it's below, you know, like 1500 feet. Hydraulic pumps can go on. We can pop the window heats on, set the air conditioning as we like. I believe that's a relatively common configuration. Going to pop the packs on auto, and I am going to open the APU bleed. Our cruise tonight is 370, no steps, so we'll set that straight away. And the elevation at Amsterdam. Trick question, does anybody know? It is 11 feet below sea level, so we'll leave that set to 0. Ryanair 7 Delta, and that's our overhead initial done. Departures out of Dublin are usually 9:00, so let's set that. And if you remember the arrivals, they bring you down to 8,000 or 7,000, so that gives you a nice bit of separation there. So MCP is initially set. That needs changing over. That is correct. So just looking out for any other gotchas, we'll pop the order brakes to RTO, test light goes out. Hydraulic pressure, we have no score given, set the radios up, quick takeoff config check, which works. My hardware matches. So let's get the aeroplane loaded up. I think one thing I have to do is change our passenger weights. So Ryanair assume 79 kilos for each packs and 0 for children. Okay, Zibo don't like that, never mind. So that's fine. I'm going to quick save everything and we'll get back into it and see if our payload matches. So from the OFP, as I mentioned, I have to write this down because otherwise I forget. 173, no, 173. P for packs. There we go. 173 packs. 2367. So let's try 367 up front and 2 tons at the back. 16034. 16.1. Yeah, it's close enough, isn't it? Ish. CG 21. That'll do. I'm more than happy with that as just a rough get it in the aeroplane and go. So fuel wise, I added an extra 15 minutes of fuel. We probably won't need the full 20-minute taxi, but that's relatively negligible. So we will take block fuel of 6600. Enter fuel request. And let's get the punters on. We've got 15 minutes until off blocks. So ATIS is 124525, still set from yesterday. Happy. So we've got the weather, which is cool. We can think about getting our clearance in a minute. So I'm just checking runway heading off of the airport chart, and I'm not going to bring these up, but I will bring up the Amsterdam charts just so we can discuss those, because I think they are quite important. So, see if tower is online and get our clearance. As always, if you are watching, please say hi. Somebody's watching, so say hello. And feel free to ask any questions that you may have. I'll try and answer them as best I can, especially depending on the stage of flight that we're in. So, before we start getting set up, let's have a chat with tower. 1186 is tuned. Dublin Tower, good evening, Ryanair 7 Delta. Ryanair 7 Delta, 737-800, stand 121, information Sierra QNH 1025. Request departure clearance to Amsterdam, please. Clear to Schiphol via the LIFFY 2 Echo departure runway 10, squawk 6675, Ryanair 7 Delta. Wilco, Ryanair 7 Delta. Good, 6, 6, 7, 5. Set. Let's get the QNH. 1025. 1025. Having a look at the chart, the Dublin VOR gives us our is what defines where LIFFY is, and is for the MSAs. It's the Collinstown VOR 099. That'll take us 7 DME to Delta Whiskey 551. So let's get the Collinstown VOR on 1. 114.9 on there for Dublin. That's 099 after departure. That one is 096. That'll give us 30 miles to LIFFY, which is the FIR boundary. We have been cleared, and the initial climb is flight level 90. And we are 242 feet above sea level, so 1242 is our minimum flat retraction. So, let's get into the FMC. We've got 6620 and the IRSs have aligned, they want some information. So 26K 737-800 winglets. Nav data is correct. Let's get into where we are. So Echo India Delta Whiskey 121. Now that is going into the scratch pad, but I hadn't cleared the message, so when I do you can see it, but you can type underneath it and then still use the keys. So the IRSs should align instantaneously, they do. Both the VORs are on, which is grand. Let's get the flight director on my side. And into the route. So we are off to EHAM, Echo Hotel Alpha Mike, Ryanair 7 Delta. And I'm going to load this route, even though it's not a particularly long one. And we can check it. So we're off to LIFFY, yes we are. Quebec 3636 to ALAVA, Zulu 1905 to MALUD, Upper Lima 975 to Wallasey, Mike 16 to DOLAS, and then Lima 603 to LAMSO, and then that's the arrival into Schiphol. And there's something that tells me that 36 left is a takeoff runway. I'm sure I've departed on that when I've left Schiphol for real, but maybe they alternate them a bit. Anyway, performance. So 0 fuel weight, 59.1. We've got 59.2 on the OFP, so that's getting better with the packs, isn't it? I'm getting that closer and closer. So 59.1, our reserves and our fuel. Trip and taxi 3.4. I'm happy to pop down. Reserves, our alternate is Brussels 2385, round up to 2.4, round up to 2.5. Cost index is always 6. And as we said, 370 is our cruise. Top of climb wind 041 at 32. And here the ISO deviation, top of climb -5. Happy with that. So I'm going to do the performance in a moment. What I am going to do on this one though is pop in runway 10, double check it is the LIFFY 2 Echo, that's the only one that's available. Let's pop that in. And there's Delta Whiskey 551 and then direct LIFFY. Those are the only restrictions, turns not below 650 feet. Direct to that point, above 3,000, which we should be. And we're off. So, take off performance wise. So 1025, temperature of 140 at 8, 10k dry runway. Runway in use is 10. Happy to take an estimated takeoff weight of 65.5. Anti-ice is off. And just having a look at the chart, we could probably take a full power, slightly shorter takeoff, but it's not a huge, it's like a couple of 100 meters extra taxi. So we'll just see what the performance gives us. So 2550, we need the full, because CO6 is 2156. That is a dry runway, flap 5, 22k, and the select temperature max is 45. That gives us a V speeds of 141, 142, 145, so 22k. I'm going to leave that offset climb there. Mate, mine says that that is pretty realistic and typical although I would imagine Ryanair would want to derate that as much as possible for engine rather than fuel. A higher power climb is obviously quicker and more efficient from a fuel perspective. As we said, select temperature 45 degrees. Gives us an M1 87.4, 87.5. It's pretty good. So takeoff, we are going to have a thrust reduction at 800. Oh no, I tell a lie. At Dublin, I think it's 15 and 3. Let me just check the taxi charts. Noise abatement, flight plan validation. Yes, so it is 1500. That is full power takeoff flaps, climb at V2 10 to 20 as limited by body, and then accelerate at 3000. The wind 140 at 8. Not going to put the runway slope in. Flap 5. Trim 5.5. So let's get that set now. It's about 5.5 to me. And 141, 142, 145. Happy with those. 145 being the key one there. So that's the MCP set. That's the FMC set. And we've got 5 minutes, so let's get the APU started. Start getting the aeroplane secure. Well, someone's watching, so if you are, as always, please say hi. Don't bite. Can't bite. Not over YouTube anyway. So those pumps should have already been on. Let's get our pretend pack sat down. Quick scan of the overhead. Oh, I'm going to have to change that.
Just as a reminder, we cannot leave the gate until carrying items are properly put away. All overhead bins are closed and all passengers are seated.
That's, where's the announcement set? I haven't done this for a while, so audio features, general. No. Variant, why am I being dense? So I think I've got some of those to check, so I think that needs to be smart. I think most of those are off for Ryanair. I will check that. I know the 200 is off, don't know about the 100. Quick save. This is a little PA system staring me right in the face. Hello again, Entity. Good to see you. Thanks for the help there. I was trying to figure out the PA system and yeah, couldn't see the wood for the trees. So, not that I use it, but
1, 2, 3, 4, United, Southwest 1, Southwest 2, American Air, Delta 1, Ryanair.
That'll do. Right, I'm happy with that. I've just got to sort those call-outs out, etc. Anyway, APU is on and available. So let's get doors shut and let's get ground services on the way. So I'm just going to request it.
Please show me where you want to go.
Oh, hello. Let's do that. And just having a look at the chart, where is the tug release point? It's actually slightly forward of this. So I think what we would get is, alright, maybe that's not the best, but I think we would then get brought forward to about here. So let's just do that, shall we? That'll do.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Terry Campbell, hello. Nice to meet you. I don't think I've seen you before. Can you also change the better pushback volume? Okay, so the better push, I'll just go through these in order before we get our clearance to go. Better pushback is in the X-plane radio volume. That's where that is. And obviously that'll affect your X-plane ATC if you use it, but obviously I don't. Terry, thanks for joining. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications when I'm on, and I can hopefully help you through your journey of learning how to fly the Zibo, which is not the easiest thing in the world. And like I say, feel free to ask some whatever questions you like, and I'll try and explain them as best I can. And I'm sure someone will come along and tell me if I'm wrong. So we are...
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Just waiting to get hitched. And because we're online, we get the better pushback hitched up first, so we don't hold anyone up. You need to be fully ready before you call up ready. And I'm just moving my controller into position. It's a flight stick, it's not particularly suited to the 7.3. So I'm just waiting for the tug to lift us up. You can just ever so slightly see it there, that if you compare us, see the wiper moving up relative to this guy. He'll tell us he's ready in a moment, and we're going to hope...
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
We are ready to go if we just take the brake off. Dublin Tower, Ryanair 7 Delta Stand 121, request push and start. Push and start approved, release point Romeo, QNH 1025, Ryanair 7 Delta. Good thing we did move that forward, because he did actually give us the release point from the chart. So, squawk set on, engine instruments, if I can get those. Beacon goes on. We'll wait to hear the cabin secure first. That's him next to us. Okay, that sounds like the cabin is secure. Break off. It is 18:46.
And you may start engines.
Oh no, it's 47. 2 minutes late. Stopped the FO stopwatch, and we've only burnt 10 kilos of fuel there, so 6610 we're pushing back with. So the aim for the engine start is to be as efficient as possible and not start the engines up too early. You know, back in the old days they'd have started the engines up as soon as they started pushing the aeroplane back. Of course, the world is very fuel conscious now, so we try and time it so that the right engine is stable just as we're starting the left engine and as the tug is disconnecting. This looks like it might go wrong. I'm worried. So we have to have the packs off to start the engine. So if you've ever been in the back of an aeroplane... Oh, I tell you what, I've got the ATC muted, that was bad. If you've ever been in the back of an aeroplane, just before the engines start, the AC goes off, and this is why, because the packs go off. So start switch to ground, and then we are looking at the engine instruments. Just turn the ATC back on for you there. Our main one is the N2, that tells us to put the fuel in, but of course you want oil pressure. You don't want to start an engine with no oil. 25%, fuel goes on, I've got a key map to that, so I just flick that switch. And you'll see that the N2 will start to rise, the EGT starts to rise as some fuel is added to the engine, and then that starts spooling up the compressor at the front. So fuel's going into the engine, being ignited and spinning this turbine up, and that's why the EGT goes up initially with a little bit of a lag, and then as this speeds up and brings cool air into the engine,
set parking brake.
it starts to bring the EGT back. So brake set. as you see there.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Engine stable, so 2 approximately 20, 4 approximately 400, 6 approximately 60. So with a stable engine number 2 we can start engine number 1. So again, same procedure, start switch to ground. Watching the left, N2 should start to rise. Disconnect the tug, I think we're happy where we are. Again, looking for the oil pressure and waiting for 25% fuel on, and it's technically idle.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
And that'll probably be good timing actually, because we want to see the pin before we do the second half of the before taxi flow. Starter cutout 2, 4, 6, and the fuel flow should be about 300. So that's 0.3 tons. That's 300 kilos an hour per engine. There is the pin. Let's get straight onto the B4 taxi flow, and this is just one that you have to learn. And it's a flow rather than a checklist. The checklist comes afterwards. So flap 5. Flight control check. Full forward, full aft, full left, full right, full left rudder, full right rudder. Check those. Checked. Trim 5.5, 5.5, recourse checked, and then the before taxi checklist. So before we push and before we start, we should do that. But I don't. Hey, it's just me. It just takes a bit of time. Maybe I should start the stream 5 minutes earlier. Before taxi checklist, I hope you guys can see that. Generators on, no lights. APU here is off, and you can see it powering down. Start switches both continuous. Probe heat is both on. Anti-ice not required. There's no icing conditions. It is below 10 degrees, but there's no visible moisture. Air conditioning, cruise 370 set. Packs both auto, bleeds on, isolation valve auto, flap 5 green light, stab trim 5.5 set, 5.5 required. Flight controls we checked, recall is checked, and we are therefore ready to taxi. Ryanair 7 Delta stand 121 request taxi. It's not, we're holding point, we're tag release Romeo. Taxi straight ahead, link 5, Papa 1, across 1634, Whiskey 3, Whiskey 2, right on Sierra, and hold Sierra 7, runway 10, Ryanair 7 Delta. So, we have been cleared. We are clear left, clear right, back to the front. Brakes off. Now I'll tell you what that will be. So we had a takeoff config warning, but you see there that my controller sets the speed brake to arm. So I've reset that. I think that's what caused it, so we'll do another takeoff config check. No horn, happy. So come to a stop, fix the problem, carry on. If not, run through the whole check again. And that would be picked up with the, I think it's on there, speed brake checked, yeah. But that's just a controller issue that you wouldn't find that in the airplane. So make sure you write all that down. That's what I was doing when he was reading it out, just writing it down, reading it back. So scheduled takeoff, 5 minutes past. So one thing you can do is you can vacate the runway. You don't need to. You don't have to be cleared to vacate. Depending on where you go, somewhere like Gatwick, you can vacate right and start taxiing before you even speak to ground. What they want is for you to clear the runway as quickly as possible.
Approaching.
So
3,
nothing
4.
seen on this runway. We are going to go straight ahead, which is Whiskey 3. Left, right, down, and right on Sierra down the end. Interesting bit of audio stutter there. So yeah, sorry I didn't have the ATC audio on. So 90-degree turns need to be done at less than 10 knots in normal conditions. If it's wet, you can do it a bit slower. So you see the taxiway signage here is wrong. If you've been watching for a while, you'll have heard me moan about this previously. One of the reasons I got this is Aerosoft scenery for Dublin, which is good, but it's a bit upsetting that for payware money, taxiways haven't been updated. And it probably only changed about 6 months ago, but it's more than enough time to square away. So Tower is busy because he's doing ground as well. So we got, there's lots of Londons online. London's nice and busy. So he's one of the few people here that uses the release points. Maybe let's get thinking about the departure. Get the weather on. Get the auto throttle armed. Arm VNAV and LNAV. Radar on the PM side. So, it doesn't help double checking V2, V2. And I think we're just going to be bang on time, to be honest. Pick up a bit of speed. Straight line speed limit is about 30 knots. Of course, in good weather, you won't want to be doing that in bad weather, but it's nice and dry. Now, I had a listen to the stream and I thought it was a bit quiet on the ATC, so I just cranked that up a little bit. Just turn me down a little bit. Because like in reality, you want the intercom to be a little bit louder than the radio so that you can hear my voice over it if I am talking. But you also need to be able to hear it as well. I think that's the second time he's asked. Unable Sierra 6 request full length due to performance. Roger, thanks, Runner 7 Delta. So he was trying to be helpful there, but as I said, it's okay. Cool, thanks, Terry. As I said, you see, you could take an intersection departure. So if there was lots of big, heavy aeroplanes, which there often are at Dublin, the little ones can go from here. That helps with the wake separation as well, but it's not that much for what we would save in taxi fuel. We're going to burn in takeoff, so better to have the D rate. You see, it's only 20-30 seconds more, especially when we're rattling along like this. But he was trying to be helpful, which is good. And yesterday at Manchester, we should have done the performance again. Doesn't take too long, but it is another distraction. You've got to make sure you don't get interrupted. So, just slowing down, expecting a clearance. So let's get the cabin secure. Hope that's the trigger and it hasn't changed.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
So we're good to go. Fire Sierra 7, line up on wait, runway 10, run S7 Delta. So cleared line up. Click, there we go. All the lights. Oh, he ain't doing a D-rate, is he?
Approaching 10.
So you could let him go in front of us. That would get rid of all the fuel savings I've worked hard for there. So we look like we're going to be about 5 minutes early. Clear takeoff 10, run S7 Delta.
0.
So let's get the airplane straight. We will do a rolling takeoff. It is going to be 1901 on departure. 3220 and 3230 on the fuel. 40%. So forward pressure on the control column. Keep some weight on the nose wheel. 40%. Stable. Power. Toga. And 1901 time. So keep the airplane straight. With rudder you need quite large inputs to start with. And then they can reduce. It's just enough to keep it on. There's no other way to describe it really. Just use whatever rudder you need, but anticipate that as you speed up you need less. So V1. Hand off the throttle. Rotate, gently bringing the nose up. About 3 seconds to 10 degrees.
Positive rate.
Gear up. Onto the flight directors.
$400.
400 LNAV. So check the roll mode. And most departures are flown to about 1,000 feet by hand. What was that? Make sure the airplane's in.
1,000.
Here we go. Command A. That's a takeoff. I'm not going to say it was perfectly flown, but it was flown. There's no one else to talk to, which is a shame. Or above the minimum flap, and the airplane should accelerate at 3250. We already have had the D rate. So the airplane should increase the speed bug. It's not going to bug up, I think it's going to bug slightly behind that, above that. There it goes, bug 230. There's the airplane accelerating, flap 1. So pretty sluggish today, passing flap 1, flap up. Passing flap up, flaps up, no lights, auto brake off. Unicom 122.8, thanks very much for the service, stay safe, Rhino 7 Delta. Okay, so after takeoff, auto brake is off, flaps up, no lights, airplane is bugged up by itself, gear up and off, start switches to off or auto, crew released, 4 pumps, vehicles checked, off takeoff checks complete. I think they are on the yoke, so you can do them. Aircon, start switches, landing gear, auto brake, flaps, altimeters, not set. So the trigger for me is usually being told to climb, so there you go. You guys can scribble these down and have a physical one if you want, but all the vital stuff is either here for when you're on the ground or on the yoke for in the air. So match heading, just in case you are given vectors, we're not going to be given anything. Probably going to speak to London North next, 1337. You can see we're heavy today, so performance is a little bit less, although we're still climbing pretty well. The airplane does feel a little bit more sluggish with the added weight. You see climb thrust 6 tons an hour, the airplane is burning in the climb. So, Manchester's on,
1,000 to go.
So we are going to clear ourselves up by ourselves to our final cruise, based on the fact that we can see no traffic ahead. Get rid of that one, and you can see there is LIFFY. So next point, flight level 100 or 10,000 feet. So there goes the speed restriction, the airplane bugs up to its most efficient climb speed. 4 pumps. That's tedious. All the forward facing lights off, logo as well if it's on. Cruise, cabin is set. Diff is 4.2 and climbing gradually. Cabin out 1.5. Cruise is set once, set twice. Econ climb set 3 times. Pass flight level 100 is not turbulent, so we can release the crew. Release the packs. Check the recall. And we are on our way. So that's it. The rest of this is probably going to be a bit boring. We've got London to talk to, and we've got Schiphol. You can see LAMSO 320 nautical miles away there. That's the max range. And you can see it reduces some of the clutter with the airfields. So, what I will do is get the charts up once we're in the cruise. We'll expect to be vectored in and told the runway. We'll get the runway in use from the ATIS. Yeah, here you go, Rick. I'm glad you joined us. I did think of you when I did this stream. Thought, yeah, let's go off to Schiphol. I did a little bit of discussion earlier about what runway we will get. I doubt it will be 36 left for landing, but you never know. I'm not particularly familiar with all of the runway ops at Schiphol, so I have been in a couple of times. Rick is Dutch, I am not. So yeah, I'll get the charts up and I'll have a discussion. Well, I won't have a discussion, but I will give you guys some thoughts about how you would plan your arrival if you were not flying with online ATC, or if you were flying online and nothing was available. One tactic is to use flight radar to see what is in use at the time. However, at the moment that is a pretty flawed method of doing it. But there should be clues in the charts. 36 left isn't in Navigraph. So let's have a look. Oh, yeah, that was what SimBrief gave me. Yes, you are right. So I tell you what, we won't be landing on 36 left. So let me just go. Still a little way away. Runway 36 left. So I think that gives you the answer that 36 left is not a landing runway. You can land on it as 18 right. I've definitely been in a real aeroplane that's taken off from 36 left, and I imagine that is something to do with noise. No, I'll just shut up. I have no idea why that is. Let's have a look at the airport chart, see if we can figure it out. I'll tell you why. if you have a look at the airport chart, you'll figure out why 36 left is not a landing runway. So it's good entity that you do have Navigraph. It's a good product if you want to fly the airplane. If you want to operate right, so the difference between flying and operating the airplane, it's quite, it's, I'm not going to say it's an easy airplane to fly, but you can fly it just like an airplane, as I believe I proved in the last few VFR flights, passing 200, diff of 6.4, cabin out of 3, climbing steadily, Pax Auto, cruise is set, pumps are on. So yeah, you can fly the aeroplane like any aeroplane. It is possible to fly it, but to operate it competently in a simulated IFR environment is a little bit more challenging, and you do need all the information available. That's why the OFPs are fantastic. ZipBrief is fantastic. Navigraph is great because not only is it a really good product, so charts are charts, right? Jebsen do them, Lufthansa do them, NavBlue, part of Airbus, do them. So Jebsen is Boeing, NavBlue is Airbus, Lufthansa is, you know, obviously Lufthansa, and that's where the Lido format comes from. Don't know if there's any other chart manufacturers, but those are the main players. They all produce the same stuff. They might look slightly different, but they all give you the same stuff. But what Navigraph does is it takes the data, plumbs it into something for many different sims. X-Plane can of course take raw ARINC, which is great, but what Navigraph does is package all that together. They obviously have to pay Jebsen probably a relatively large amount of money to use their stuff, and they geo-reference the charts, they make them usable, and they've got a great app for iPad, they've got a great app for Android, they've got a great you can use it just in a web browser if you've got an old iPad that doesn't support it or any of this stuff. It is a really, really good and polished product, and that's what you need really. You need all that information, which a lot of the stuff you can get charts for free online from a lot of the aviation authorities, but what you don't get is really good product that pulls it all together, that imports from ZipBrief, that saves you a huge amount of time and effort, and really just helps you save a lot of time and enjoy the hobby rather than making it into a full-time job. So the QNH from the OFP for Schiphol is 1027, and Ryanair SOP is to set that before top of climb, so I'm going to do that now so I don't forget. €10, yeah, it's really not. And one thing I would say is if you can afford to pay up in one lump sum, I think that makes it then about €80. It saves you a lot of hassle with the charts, and you won't get the data anywhere else. I've got access to free data, which you can't get publicly, but even I don't use it because Navigraph is a really polished product. You can get the charts from the CAAs. Some of them are usable, some you only get OCHs rather than minima. But yeah, it just brings it all together. And like I said, the year is about 80, maybe it's 90 to start with, so there's a little bit of a discount. But then if you renew again after the first year, I think they gave me another like €5 discount as well, and I'm pretty sure it took it down to less than €80, which, okay, some people might not be able to afford that, and X-Plane is only it's X-Plane about $50, 50 or 60, something like that. But the rest of the amount of free stuff that you can get, the default scenery that is quite good, Ortho that you can get for free. We haven't even had a look at the Ortho yet because it's dusk. Is this the? No, this is the Eagle C. Shows why I know. But you can see I think that's RF banding. You can just about see the Ortho at dusk. You've got ex-Europe putting some blobs of stuff down here. So you've got Zibo, which is absolutely fantastic. So there's a lot of free stuff, but the key bit, whatever you fly, is data and charts really, which just makes your life a lot easier. Okay, 65 on Steam. I guess it's a little bit more from Amina. I was glad I didn't get it from Steam. There wasn't a sale on. If there had been, that could have been a problem. Who's that? A bug? Is that a bug or another aeroplane? Aeroplane? Yes. Sorry, I was a bit of it. If there is any, because it just popped up. Yeah, so some people on Steam have issues with the way it installs, or they don't know how to use Steam for updating. The Lamina one is, the Lamina installer is really good for ease of updates and making it so that you can just, you should never have to reinstall X-Plane because it doesn't do kooky things to the registry. You should only ever have to update, and you know, you can delete a directory if you say you mess up the aircraft files. Just delete it, press update, and it should run. But I mean, you can do that with Steam, but people seem to moan that it's a bit too difficult. One thing that is interesting, I guess, because of my field of view, is the horizon looks a little bit curved. Although I suppose it could be just draw distance. Because to me, the cockpit doesn't look curved. Anyway, it is what it is. Passing flight level 300, bank angle to 10, last 10 check. The cabin out's 5.5, the diff pressure's creeping up. We'll probably rest at about 7.8, going up at 500 a minute. 377 packs are on. Pumps are on, and we are good and on our way. So yeah, I mean, it's not the cheapest game, but then it isn't a subscription model, so $65, you know, is that reasonable? I think so, for the quality of the sim and what you can do to it for free. Yes, you might be able to get P3D looking a bit more polished. FSX is just not even worth talking about. I know people rave about it, people are still using it, but I mean, that is, you know, really old hat. I don't know what these artifacts are. I thought it was something to do with reflections. But I think X-Plane is a better sim when it comes to actual physics. Oh, I guess London North is offline, so we won't be speaking to them, so I'm just going to tune up. Amsterdam radar 125.75. But you have to spend a lot of money to get P3D looking good, and okay, it's going to look better than this. Yeah, yoke pedals, heavy graph scenery, good computer. Yes, you do need. Yeah, okay, I take your point. You actually do need to spend quite a lot of money getting into the sim. But I mean, you need all of that hardware, whichever sim you buy. So yes, it isn't necessarily a cheap hobby, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than actual flying. The aeroplane that I'm flying, I get a pretty cheap rate, and that's still £127 an hour. So, you know, just 1 hour of flying, by the time you've done 10 hours of actual flying, it will probably have paid for a decent PC, especially if you build it yourself, and some hardware. Yeah, to get P3D looking somewhat realistic, I think it costs a lot of money, and you've got to spend a lot of money on the 7.3, whereas Zibo you get, even if you say it's only 85% of the PMDG product from systems modelling and everything, I think the flight model is clearly better. But let's say you want the accurate aircraft, let's say this is only 85%, I think it's more like 90 or 95%, but you know, you're getting 85% of something for zero cost. I've donated to Zibo, I'm sure lots of other people have. It doesn't do it for that, but you know, it just goes to show amazingly what can be done by just one person. You know, imagine if you had an actual team. So, back to the old flight plan. Runway 36 left. I have no idea how SimBrief even gave that. I guess it just looks it up. So, I'm going to bring let's do the descent forecast first. No, we're not technically in the cruise yet, but let's do the forecast. We know the winds are going to be 310, and you can, like I've said before, you can put them anywhere, it figures it out. So you get given the winds, hope you guys can see that. 3-1, you've got 3-5, 3-1, 200, 1-5, 1-0. We're going to be at 3-7. So the even split between them is 3-1, 200, 100. So you can put in any order. So just to prove that, let's do 310, 100, and 200. Look, it figures it out, and it does it top to bottom as well. So 020, 48 knots. 020, 48, 341 and 29. And then 359. 21. And the other thing I would say about X-Plane is what a massive difference this has made. Vulkan is a huge leap forward. It's a shame they didn't do it before, but you know, to better utilise the graphics is a big difference. I think I know why they went with OpenGL, because they wanted cross-platform, which is fine, but it has clearly been possibly a bad decision longer term for getting people into the sim. Anyway, here we are at cruise. People have said it's been oscillating a bit. It levels off better than I do, that's for sure. Good. So top of climb, 20 minutes after departure. Don't you enter the QNH? Yes, so it was just because we were levelling off and I wanted to monitor that I stopped halfway through. So we also have weather 2 pages later. So there's our destination. The actual at 1725, which is of course not going to be anywhere near, but setting QNH before top of climb as a gross error check, I think I mentioned it on the last stream, is a really sensible idea that Ryanair stick in there. Because if we didn't set that and we turned up and we heard, because they got funky Dutch accents, 1017, we'd put that in and we wouldn't even second thought, and maybe they wouldn't correct us, maybe they wouldn't hear it right. And 10 millibars, 10 hectopascals, same thing, but 10 of those is going to be a difference of approximately 300 feet. And that's the sort of loss of separation or terrain separation, or worse, if you heard 1007, 600 feet. On the approach, if you didn't pick that up because you were distracted, you know, all these things come in together, it could be very bad. So level busts, etc. Can be avoided by that. So that's a good simple gross error check. It's not going to deviate too much from that on arrival unless there's a massive storm, in which case you've got other things to worry about as well. Over the course of a few hours, that's not going to change a huge amount. Now, if we get an accurate QNH, and we could use the ACARs to get it, well, I'm actually going to wait until we get the ATIS, which we might be able to pick up from here. Yes, 132975. It'll probably be really crackly because the distortion is modelled, which is quite cool. 13297, I think there's been some epic geekery in the codec department. 132. Sorry, it just keeps, the window keeps scrolling. 132975, 132975. Now obviously in reality I'd get that from the chart, but VATSIM frequencies don't always match. So if we know the QNH using a table, we can determine the transition level, because we can find out what it is based on the transition altitude and convert it. But we're going to wait for the ATIS. We could also do the ISO deviation. So that's as much as I'm going to put in, and those are going to change. I can't remember what the transition altitude is, but we'll find out. So, I don't think we need anything else from the OFP, so let's get the charts up for you guys. Not much to look at outside, is there? So we need our arrival And thankfully all of these arrivals are sort of runway independent. So we have the LAMSO 2 Alpha arrival that we filed. 3000, thank you. So 3000 with a QNH of 1027, which we don't know what it is going to give a transition level of flight level 40. It's probably going to stay that because, like I said, the QNH is not going to change a huge amount. And as you see here, transition level by ATC, but from the approach charts, you can get that figure, which I assume is where you got yours from. So the question, what ATC do I need to use if I'm on cruise? So if there's no ATC, then we just use Unicom, and I'm not even going to bother talking because you could do position reports if you really want to go into it. The only person I'm going to speak to next, so London Centre, London South, London West, London Terminal North and South, and Scottish are all online, but we slip through the gap between those for London North. They're not online, so we're not going to speak to anyone, but we will speak to Amsterdam radar when we get to LAMSO. So LAMSO is the FIR boundary, and if you have a look on the charts you can see that. We'll probably speak to them slightly earlier than that to ensure that they want us below 230 there. But as you can see, this inbound is, and just looking up the QNH and the transition altitude, you can calculate that it's 40, so I'm going to put that in. That's probably not going to change. So at least we've done most of the hard work. So LAMSO 2 Alpha is going to be our arrival. As you can see, there's only 5 there, so they're not very different. And so I think it was one of your questions before, Rick, was then what? Then what do you do? One of the important nav aids to have tuned is 108.4. That's for the MSAs. So those are figures here that tell you what you should not descend below unless you're on a procedure or if you're in a known area, like over the sea, although even then it's not foolproof. You don't want to descend below that in IMC because you may hit something. So unless you're on a procedure or on radar vectors where they are vectoring you, if you go below that, you're on your own terrain clearance, so you do not descend below MSA unless you know you are safe. So LAMSO 2 Alpha, that's going to get us there, and to LAMSO to hold, and we have held there before on the way into Amsterdam, which hopefully we're not going to have to do tonight. But if you were doing this yourself, what would you do? Well, firstly you want to determine which runway is going to be in use. We know it's not this one, so it may very well be. It would make sense to me that the terminal and everything is in the middle here, and these 2 runways are available for landing. This one's only for takeoff. Depending on how busy it is, depends how many they use, but it would make sense to me that you wouldn't have aircraft landing here if you were crossing them across to go up there. I know you can go round. So for us, I think the ideal runway is going to be the centre, because we park somewhere near a hotel. But once you've determined what runway you want, if you're offline, it doesn't matter. How are you going to get from here to these runways? So let's have a look at the approach charts, and I'll load both of them up because I don't think we can always get rid of the one that we're not using once we find out the actual runway in use. And you see there are some different night approaches for noise abatement, but we are going to want our navcat 23 ILS 36 right. We don't want, because the weather is not bad, so we'll go, why don't we do 36 centre, just so it makes sense in my mind. So ILS 36 centre, .36 right, so we've got centre and right, and you can see those there. So this is starting to make a bit more sense, isn't it? That we are not going to come in from RTIP, so we're going to get, these. Oh, that's irritating. He already said he wasn't. So that was the. Doesn't matter. So we're not going to get 36 right because of this arrival and transition. It doesn't say that it's a night one, but it's RNAV ILS 36 right. The charts on that graph are a little bit hard to decipher, so let me just figure them all out on the iPad first. So we think 36 center, load up, 36 right. Okay, so there's an RNAV to 36 right, so I will continue to shut up. I just didn't go down far enough, I don't think. ILS 36 right, there we go, that's what we want. But actually that does give us a clue, I think, as to where they're bringing people in. So Sugol is our initial approach fix, and let's assume that we want to go 36 center, which is, I think, is what we're going to get. This chart is then showing you how to get overhead the airport to then do a procedural approach. Now I mentioned it briefly previously, Rick, that the procedural approach is to take you above the aerodrome at a safe height above the MSA. If it's busy, you can then hold, so you would then enter this hold here at flight level 70, descend in the hold, or you could enter it above. You would usually descend below. This is quite high, so this is then giving you the hold at 70 and then outbound 13 miles to descend. Descend it all the way down to 2,000, and as long as you stay on this profile you will be safe and you won't hit anything at those heights to then join the ILS. So that's one thing you could do. You could also think about vectoring yourself in, as we will probably be vectored in, but that is effectively how you would get into the aerodrome. Come in, enter the hold. It would probably be difficult to go straight outbound, that sort of 90-degree turn, if not slightly less than 90 degrees. You could, even the hold is actually going to be a little bit of a mess, because you're going to have to fly left to do a parallel entry and turn back around on the holding side to then join the hold. So that would be quite time consuming from these directions. Well, from this direction it's not too bad, but if you were by yourself that's what you could do. Or you can put that arrival in, that's going to get us to Sugol, put this in, and then just create some custom waypoints to bring you in. But I can't always guarantee that is going to be safe in IMC. In VMC you'd be alright. So that gives you an idea of what you do somewhere like here. Unfortunately I don't think we're going to be able to see it because we will get vectored. I'll just sort the lights out so that you guys can at least see what's going on. Turn these down a bit. Let's just double check the frame rate. 30's fine. So I hope that gives you a bit more background, Rick, as to what you would do, and how you would plumb that in is, if you look here, ILS 36. So you've got an RTIP, Sugol, and river arrival. If you didn't have those, it would probably say something like SPL. So Manchester is good to see that, because it will give you the Manchester transition, which is straight over. And if we picked Sugol, it would then bring us in, flight level 70 overhead, join the hold. Actually, sorry, instead of me talking about it, why don't I put it in and show you? Because we have the technology. Let's stick that on the plan. Let's just do a little bit of, how's that? Should be able to see that. Step through, there's LAMSO, ETPOS, Sugol, and then 292, don't know what that restriction is. But anyway, there is overhead Schiphol VOR. What it hasn't done is put the hold in. You can put that in yourself. It's taking you to Echo Hotel 657 outbound, and it is performing that fantastically. So if you had no ATC, that is something that you could do, and it would work. I don't think that's going to happen. So why don't we listen to the ATIS, figure out what is exactly going on. Okay, that's different. That's mental, so they're making everyone go. that's pretty cool, they're making everyone go to the furthest away. 06 might actually be better for us. That separated. Sorry, I just find that when you see the chart, yeah. So I'm going to look at the RNAV night, just out of interest, and the ILS for 06. So that's fine. 06 again. You can see that transition if you were to come this way, and then the outbound. There's a couple of variations here, Cat C and D, Cat A and B for that hold. So again, Seagull to bring you in. This is more like what we're going to expect. We're going to expect vectors to get us into this sort of position. So I'm going to plumb those in and just expect that, because, does it say what time? Continue via the transition, so we'll have both of these up just in case. I'm going to pop this one in because if we get given 06, they'll give us vectors that will be something relatively similar to this. How far have we got to go? Oh, we've got loads of time before we get to LAMSO, so I've got time for a quick toilet break. Got time to plan the arrival. So yeah, I'm going to select this as a transition, then expect that we won't get it, because there's no harm in doing that, because if we get surprised by being given any of those points, and they don't exist on this chart, so the worst that happens is that we get given direct to the Schiphol VOR and then have to go outbound, but they'll still probably vector us. So as long as we've got that tuned and available, we should be alright. But I'm going to imagine that they do something similar just by vectoring, taking people over, out and round, and you can see that this is descending for noise abatement, which is again, I assume, why this is preferred. Let's have a look at the aerodrome chart, which is what made me chuckle, because when you have a look at the aerodrome chart, there's a lot of briefing charts that you could read through. You can see that, as I mentioned earlier, there's a reason you can't land on 36 left, and that's because there is nowhere to turn around. There's no pad to backtrack. These are high-speed exits, and you are not going to be able. Well, you can do a turn against those, but it's quite tight. No, you ain't landing on that. So, just different, just very, very different. But as you can see, it is miles away from the terminals, and I know, having been on an aeroplane that went all the way down here, it didn't cross the runway because it was busy. It went under this taxiway, which you can do. You can go under the approach path there, which is why it's so far. Taxied all the way up here, all the way along here, to then take off from here. It was mad. So they're making everyone take off there, which is a bit mean. I would have thought it would have been 36 centre for takeoff. You know, I mean, okay, that's 12,000 foot, but I don't know. Just we'll see when we get there. So 06 will be for us, and our usual stands are over here, and ATC at VATSIM Schiphol have been pretty good at giving us the right spots in the past. So there's no real benefit to busting to vacate early. You can see here that I think even Sierra 6 is a high-speed-ish exit. We could vacate and hold. Depends how busy it is. But clearly Sierra 4 would be okay, and I think it's anti-clockwise around here, so we'd expect to be going all the way around Bravo and then left on here, unless we get given something different. We shall see. So let's get planned for this. As I said, not only do we need the Schiphol VOR potentially for an arrival, but we also need it for the MSAs. So 108.4. we are receiving it already. So 11055. We know it's VFR from. There's no broken clouds. There's just few clouds at 3.6 and visibility of 10k. So we know it's visual approach territory. Let's do that. 11055. And is there anything else? People have been vectored towards Spijkerboor before, so I am going to pop that on 1133, but it's pretty much in the wrong direction, unless we were vectored there to then come out and come in. I don't think it's going to happen, but we've got it tuned anyway. One thing for this approach is the Schiphol NDB, so we can tune 388. See what we get off that. And that is really, we've got some traffic ahead. 058. And if we were to take the procedure outbound, we'd 1227. And in reality, you'd swap, you'd get the ILS for both. So yeah, but single crewed I'm usually happy to fly just a standard approach, one autopilot only. So regardless of the method of arriving here, this doesn't give you the minima, this just gives you 11.2A. Why is that different at night? Let's have a look. Well, one thing I will do is get the parking stands. Go. Those are the standards that we expect. Hotel 6 and 7, cheap because they're far away, I guess. So 11.2A, what's different about the night approach? Maybe the go around? Oh no, because it's 123. Ooh, that's stop and descent. That's a worry. I'm a little bit behind the aeroplane, so I think we are going to want at least 230 as per the chart. Okay, so that's for the night arrival. 189, and is it the same as this one? Should be 189, so 189 minima for us. I can't move that. So let me just get my charts matching. So ILS 06, initial and final for night time. I suppose we could get the RNAV. I'll cross that bridge if I get to it. Let's just tidy up my charts on my iPad. There is the aeroplane throttling back. We are descending already. Let's get those throttles all the way back. I've got anti-ice on, and I'm going to make a quick toilet trip. No one else to speak to until we get a little bit closer. We've got a lot of frequencies to plumb in, so I will see you guys in a moment. And if you have got any questions about any of the approach stuff, I can go through them, and we'll just have a think about doing the landing performance. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay. Good, I've made that mistake before. Not going for a P before going in somewhere and it's getting busy. Right, so still on the wrong window. There we go. So aeroplane is depressurizing. Cabin out's coming down nice and gradually. 4 pumps on. And we need to have a think about our landing performance. So let's get the arrival sorted out. I don't mind that we're a little bit quick. So still the same star, and I think that's 06, and I did say we were going to plan for the night approach, which is the Seagull 2 Alpha. Oh, hello. 2575. Radar, good evening, Ryanair 7 Delta 737-800 information, Foxtrot passing flight level 270, expecting Seagull 2 Alpha. Oh. Apologies. LAMSO 2 Alpha arrival, runway 06, descent flight level 200, Ryanair 7 Delta. Cool, so that was just me reading the wrong notes. How embarrassing. So, tower's not online. He is doing everything. So, LAMSO 2 Alpha, yes. And we're probably going to get vectors. I'm going to pop that in anyway. See an aeroplane or a helicopter outside my window for real. Cool. So 0.4 off of that gives us 62.7. I don't know what this is. Anyone know what this is? It's awful. Okay, so we are going direct to Schiphol VOR. That's interesting. So 320 at 5. Oh, I don't know, we're down to 10. So we think 62.7. Okay, so I'm happy with water brake 2. We'll leave that at flap 30 as well. So 058 from the chart, 056 from the computer. That's what we'll go with. Get rid of that one. So I think that's going to be Seagull. So 2 Alpha Seagull and then direct Sierra Papa Lima. So there we go, we have got a hold in this one. We're not going to do all of that. So we can delete some of those out. Whoa, no we don't. Let's go level change. So that is panicking slightly. Descent flight level 180, Ryanair 7 Delta. So the information that VNAV gives for the path is only as good as the information we put in. I don't think we'll get vectored. Sounds pretty young. So 056 happy. I think we'll end up getting vectored. We've got the Schiphol VOR. So we'll just see what we get given on the way in. Everything up to here is fine. Up to Schiphol. Oh, I've lost the arrival, so let's just get that back on. AMSO 2 Alpha. So he's actually pretty busy, considering he's only got ground, no tower. Can't see tower. So he's got delivery and ground. So yeah. He sounds Irish. Now, just in case, let's just get the speed up a little bit. It was a question, but never mind.
1,000 to go.
This is awful. What is this? Does anyone know what these weird dots on the ocean are? It's really distracting. So we are going to level off here. So out of choir, let's bring the speed back. Yeah, weird. I'll have a play around, see what we can do about it. Gosh, that's awful background noise. So we've been given LAMSO 2 Alpha, we haven't been cleared any further. So I am going to put the hold in from the chart. What I am going to do is get rid of that one. Descend flight level 70, speed 300, Ryanair 7 Delta. Now that's quick, and we are going to come down like a stone. So that has taken the speed restriction. Oh, I don't know, delete that from there, I've got to do it from the legs. So we can delete that. We should be able to delete that. No, never mind. He wanted us at 300. Oh, that's awful and weird. It's actually got us back on profile. Let's get the punters set back down. This guy knows what he's doing. So 300 is pretty steep. Now we will technically, I'm going to put that hold in. So next hold, Sukol. File 4, right. Standard hold. We can always take that out if we are cleared, but that is our clearance limit. So we would normally reset speed at flight level 100, but we've been given a speed and cleared below it. So we're going to maintain that speed. This is awful. It's almost making me feel sick. Oh no, I'll tell you what, we probably want the retracts up, don't we, for the drag. Set. Going down. Should be us soon. Got like 2 minutes. There's the ADF kicking in.
Thousand to go.
1055, 1055, 184. 056, 189, set, happy. So, bring the speed back. So we've not been cleared. We're going to enter the hold. May not be expecting that. And I don't really want to interrupt the guy because he's massively busy. Needs tower to help him out. He's doing everything. So let's bring the speed back. Descend altitude 3,000 feet, QNH 1027. Do you want us direct to Sierra Papa Lima? Direct Sierra Papa Lima, speed 250, Ryanair 7 Delta. Good. Now, what I don't want to do is accelerate us too much. We're going to get expect vectors, but we have got the procedure and the hold in. Go back to LNAV. So that was a bit late and a bit messy and a bit bad on the RT. Oh, got the speed brake still out, that's why we weren't accelerating very well. So we've been cleared 1027, 1027, 3000, and what I'm going to do is just bring that back to something like that. Yeah, so that was, I think, what it didn't tell us, which would have been a clearance. So what we don't want to do is end up 3000 right over the top. I'm going to expect him to turn us off at some point. Could probably get away with a little bit less, but we have got some speed to lose. 36 left, that's so mean. I really don't know how this guy's doing it. I really don't. He's doing all of Amsterdam's airspace. Wow, just wow. In a foreign language, clearly. Speed 220 knots for on SM Delta. He's got a plan, let's get the brakes out. Wow, it's busy. Just happened there. Oh, wrong window. Not sure if I'm in cloud. Oh, I think we were, so we probably should have had the anti-ice on. Look at all these airplanes. Literally don't know how you see it. Right, I'm happy with that. So CAG 056056, tuned, identified. So that's 10 miles. I think we'll be pretty low at this rate. Let's go down to 300. It's an amazing game of 3D chess. God, he hasn't even got ground and clearance now. It's going to become impossible. I think he should just move to approach. Approach would be fine. So, let's get the airplane secure. Again, speed brakes didn't retract it. So I've got an arm setting and an up setting.
1,000 to go.
Right, heading 240 run SM Delta. So he's trying to keep us away from him. What waypoints could we go for? Speeds are still fine. Can we get 614? Does look pretty good though, didn't it? Apart from the lights popping. But we could probably get the extended lights done. got to be something on the water. Awful. Genuinely awful. I'm going to need to try and figure out what that is. So I think that's that guy. He's good. This guy's really good. I really just don't know how this guy's doing all this. So we'll get sequenced in behind him at probably about 4 miles. We'd like to be a little bit slower. So we'll acquire in a moment. Oh, the guy hasn't got time to sort this out. Left heading 130 degrees, descend altitude 2000 feet, Ryanair 7 Delta. So, I think we can make that relatively shallow. Could probably be a bit shallower than that, to be honest. Right, maybe not. Let's stick to 500, see how we go.
Thousand to go.
Left turn heading 090 degrees, cleared approach 06, Ryanair 7 Delta. So we can arm lock, we've got the right localizer tuned. It's not bad intercept. So let's go for something like that.
2500.
That's super low. So missed approach, straight ahead to 2000. So we have been cleared for the approach, we could have intercepted the localizer first. And we need flap 1 at 10 miles, so we can start bringing it back now. So just looking for the localizer, 10 miles flap 1, and we're a little bit late. Localizer alive. Captured. And we are localizer established, so armed approach. Wasn't too bad. Out acquire. Glide slope armed. Fly slope alive. Flap 5. So we'll maintain this to about 40 me. So you can see 36 left is that one over there. Get down flap 15. We'll be at 4 miles. 2000 for the mist. Get down. Flap 15. Match speed. Cabin secure. What's on? Start switches continuous. Speed brake armed. Auto brake set. Gear down 3 green. Holding on the landing flap. Clear land 06, running 7 Delta. So, disconnect.
Approaching 06.
So, a little bit low. Let's get the pitch right. Interesting. Wind seems to have disappeared. How are we still low?
Approaching minimums.
So there's minimums.
Minimums.
Continue. So I probably need the GPWS call out a bit louder.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Let's fly the aeroplane on. That was a bit of a thump. Speed brakes out. Brakes in reverse. Textures look a bit rubbish. Why that is. So we'll make that next left if we can. Thanks, Rick.
80
Welcome
knots.
home. 80 knots. We're short of stopping. Stow the reversers. And you're braking.
4,000 feet remaining.
So is that Sierra 4? So we will hold here at Sierra 4. Not actually at the holding point, it needs to be clear of the runway. So let's clean the airplane up. Stop the stopwatch. Can have a look at the stats in a minute. This guy's so busy. I'm gonna get word in edgeways. So let's start the stopwatch. I think a single engine taxi would be a good idea. Great landing, nice. 285, take that. 285 feet a minute. Ooh. All the textures have gone blurry. Maybe we've run out of VRAM or something.
Landing up to runway 36 left, pop off to Victor. KLM deep, pop a shit out, flight level 260. Flight level 260, KLM 78XA, cancel flight level 4170. Contact up, 707
Right, some Delta vacated. Hotel 1, run SM Delta. He's just letting us get over there. So we have got our taxi clearance. There is no one to our left. We are going to take. We're going to take the Bravos all the way round. So let's get the airplane finally cleaned up. So CO4 right on Bravo, and we're just going to follow it all the way around. Nothing seen. Wow. So I think the ideal engine to shut down will be engine number 1. I've started the stopwatch because you need 3 minutes of the engine stabilizing. I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit. For you guys anyway, it's same volume for me. I do think my volume is a little bit loud, so I might have to adjust that, having listened to the radio the other side. So let's start the APU. So we're just following this all the way round to Alpha 19. Long way round. Like Schiphol, it's a very well designed airport. But the taxiway that just goes all the way round, that's basically a dual carriageway. It's massive though, ridiculously big. How's the frame rate doing? Still pretty good even with all these lights. So APU is on and available. No bleeds, ISO's auto, shut down engine number 1. So we need a little bit more power. It doesn't really save any fuel, but it does save engine time. I'll start a stopwatch to see how much engine time it will save, especially on a long taxi like this. Just got to keep following it all the way around. Oh, what those textures are about? It's the same down there, isn't it? Yeah, interesting. It's the first time I've seen the textures go mushy like this. So Alpha 12, keep following it around. There's a big old de-icing pad up here, I think. And having been to Schiphol, they do taxi around here massively quick. So not bad for a default airport. Scenery's alright. I really don't know how this guy is doing this. It's just incredible. This guy is called oh, Stefan Blau. God, he's a medal. I've got a headache just thinking about it. That would be a stream worth watching, seeing what this guy's doing, rather than my relatively mediocre planning. We can translate that. I think I missed the joke. So we're looking Alpha 19 on the left down the end here. Did he tell me that? I can't remember him saying that. That might go wrong. So Alpha 18 next left. No, Speedbird is the call sign. Oh. Yep. First down VATSIM. So, good look round. No one's coming, they should be going that way. A bit quick. So we're just going straight ahead here. Oh, frame rate's dropped a bit. GPU's working hard, I wonder why. I think maybe it's textures. Or maybe it's... Is it going to be lights? So this was the trouble at Manchester. The frame rate tanked. Anyway, let's just go straight ahead onto Hotel 1, just in the corner here. Ryanair actually used those two, but I think it gave us Hotel 1. Doesn't matter. It's a long way from home. So yeah, the GP is working very hard there. He hasn't got delivery, which is difficult. So let's get those lights off. Gosh. And these textures look rubbish, don't they? Just like my taxiing. So I think Hotel 1 is here. Yes, it is. Maybe I need to turn some of the graphics settings down. Maybe it's a memory thing. Maybe I shouldn't have the Ortho on. Oh, where the hell am I going to park? Here. That looks like... I'm pretty sure you'd pull forward onto this pad, wouldn't you? Not the best scenery. But it's pretty good for default. Textures just look terrible. That'll do us. Maybe I've parked in the wrong place. Who knows? So, Squawk standby. So we've saved about 6 minutes of engine time there, which is 1/10 of an hour, which is pretty good. 2 blues. 1 red. Engine's dead. Uh, 1 hour 40 minutes after we left Dublin, and at 20:26, I'll stand Hotel 1 at Schiphol. We've got 1660, 1630 on board, and we've used 1.63, 1.70. Get the beacon off. Beacon. Get chocks in. Just wait for those doors. It's also a long way from home. And we can release the packs. Get the airplane powered and the APU off. So, guys, thanks very much for joining. Welcome to Schiphol. At my terrible frame rate. It's got to be something to do with these lights and or textures, isn't it? Maybe it can't be the lights because there's so many over there. But as soon as you look at this... maybe not. Yeah, look at that, it's not good. Weird. Maybe that's a bug. Anyway, our first trip out in GBDDR4. Relatively successful. I've got some configuration to do after this, and yeah, relatively poorly planned, but we made it. I ran through a lot of stuff there, and I probably didn't explain it because, especially online, it can be a bit rushed. Have a look at things that I did, and then next time have an ask perhaps if you don't know why I've done something. The key thing is, why have I done something rather than copying what I've done. So when I set the minima, I get them off the chart, you know, but they are specific for that runway. You can't use them all the time. So yeah, like I say, please come along with some questions, and like I say, I'll answer them as best I can. So hopefully it's given you a good idea of how to operate the airplane. I can't say I'm perfect. I'm not type rated, but I can get you hoofing it around the sky relatively safely, especially if you've got online ATC. So, as always, thanks for joining. Please sub if you like it, give the video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So for now, stay safe, take care, and hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow. We'll probably go to Gatwick. It'll be busy. Take care for now, and good night.